is kind of redefining the possibilities for humanity, for the way humans work, for the way humans interact with systems and processes. Gen AI is something that has sprung up, in the recent past, and over the last 6 quarters, we have actually seen Gen AI expand the possibilities of what AI can do for humans in a very, very meaningful fashion. If you really look at traditional AI used to work mostly in the realm of data and statistics. Gen AI has basically taken it into another realm, the realm of generating content, and content which is multimodal. And in this entire journey, we have seen how a lot of knowledge tasks are getting automated today using Gen AI. Now, when you look at knowledge task automation, right, it's really fundamentally disrupting the way people used to work. So one way to really look at what's really happening in the knowledge industry today is that using Gen AI tools, almost like digital assistants, that allow you to basically go through a lot of data better, faster, and quicker than what humans could process, and still bring in the kind of reasoning abilities that human beings can bring in. So that's where the power of Gen AI really lies, right? Which is really in terms of bringing in inferencing, reasoning capabilities, and so on and so forth. And that is where I think the excitement around Gen AI actually starts coming in, right? So if you look at where Gen AI tools today are, they are at a stage where they can basically go through a lot of language and text, and they could make sense of it. They could basically come out with summarizations, synthesis, inferencing, and these are typically of the same order of what a human being with maybe around 15 to 16 years of cognitive ability can carry, right? And that's really where the promise of Gen AI really lies. One of the things that Gen AI is fundamentally trying to basically achieve and deliver is a bunch of capabilities that can really act as digital assistants to human beings. Now, I think this concept of organizations, personas, and what every persona works on has been there for quite some time. But what Gen AI today is doing is specifically for those personas which are basically working with knowledge tasks. And I'll give a couple of examples. So if you take a research assistant typically goes into a lot of research work, looking at multiple documents, then trying to synthesize and basically bring out certain insights, right, which get summarized. And a lot of these tasks today can actually be substituted by Gen AI tools, which can actually do this with the same kind of fidelity and accuracy that human beings can do, and perhaps even better. And one of the most exciting aspects of Gen AI is that it actually elevates the baseline performance. So if I or you or anybody else was to basically do it, we probably have different levels of efficiency in terms of processing the data, right, and coming out with our inferences. Gen AI really pushes up the entire performance levels dramatically and gives you a consistent, predictable, at the same time, a high fidelity, high accuracy output that people can trust and work with. And when you look at digital assistants, like a digital sidekick of each and every person who's basically in an organization, the exciting part is that you could use it for documentation tasks, you could use it for creating imagery and content, you could use it for even creating audio visuals, right, and so on. So it's really working with multimodal content. And one very important aspect of Gen AI is really it has taken away the language barrier. So today, when you start thinking of Gen AI, it's really not very important whether you are conversing in, let's say, Hindi and you want an output in English, right? Or a French input and an Italian document input. Processing that is all basically part of the large language models that have already been built as part of the Gen AI capabilities. So at ITC Infotech, we have actually been on the Gen AI journey for the last 5 quarters on. In this process, we have learned to explore the kind of tools and the kind of capabilities that Gen AI can give us as employees, at the same time to our customers, when we think of ourselves as a service provider to our customers. what we have learned is that there are probably four very critical aspects to really focus on. One is, how do you really establish trust on the output of GenAI, right? There's a lot of talk about hallucinations, a lot of talk about, are you getting the right results? Is the GenAI tool really faking it? So I think one aspect of any GenAI project is really to be able to use data science very effectively, prompt engineering very effectively, also to basically create guardrails around the documents that are used for these GenAI projects, so that you really do not have a worry on what goes in is not garbage, right? And hence what comes out is something that is fairly good and trustworthy. There's a training cycle that really needs to be built, where the aspect of training a GenAI tool to deliver the right kind of accuracy and with a very predictable and very reliable output becomes very important. So that's the reason why many GenAI projects are really data science projects, where you need to invest some time upfront to really understand what kind of prompts give you what kind of output. And hence there's this entire science on prompt engineering, a job family called prompt engineers that has come up as a consequence of that. The second aspect, which is very important, is how do I really choose the right use cases? Choosing the right use cases is a function of two things. One, ways that you'll actually get value, and two, what is the economic and technical trade-offs, right? So do you get economic value, and you basically have the technology tools which can give you the kind of results that you need. Towards that, we have basically created our own frameworks in terms of how do you really do a very guided and navigated use case discovery, so that you can focus on those use cases that can be delivered with today's technology with a certain accuracy, with a certain fidelity, and where you can actually start thinking of establishing quick wins in a very nascent area, right? And then basically using that to scale up your GenAI journey. The third aspect, which is very important, is really the entire aspect of how do you keep yourself contemporary with technology. Now, ChatGPT, everybody's familiar with that. So you had GPT 3.5, which was launched in November 2023. 2022, right? And then from there, we moved to ChatGPT 4.0. We moved to ChatGPT 4.0, right? And each and every technology wave has given a very different set of outputs in terms of the kind of reliability that they've been able to establish. So it's very important to keep yourself very abreast of what's really happening in the technology world and how these GenAI tools and technologies are evolving over a period of time, so that you could actually maximize the the adoption on many of these. And last but not the least, I think there's a concept of AI governance and policies, right, which becomes very important as well, because it's a very emerging subject. Privacy concerns, deep fakes, a lot of these are obviously out there, and it is important that we start thinking on what really will not compromise the user or the user community or the industry to whom we are actually selling these GenAI projects, so that we don't really get into a risk issue for the corporate or for us. So these are probably 4 areas to really kind of think through as we try and basically extend and scale up our GenAI journeys. At ITC Infotech, we have actually taken GenAI forward, not only in terms of trying to understand and appreciate what the technology can do, but also to drive mass awareness and education programs for pretty much everybody across the company. Two very pivotal things that we are trying to do from a customer point of view. One, we have basically created under our technology COE a bunch of platforms which are GenAI infused, GenAI led, and these are really targeted towards improving the entire efficiency and productivity of software engineers who are basically working either in a development life cycle or who are really supporting our customer applications, so that we could actually make this entire process more efficient and more productive. At the same time, we've also created strong data science-led GenAI capabilities to basically take it into a bunch of business use cases so that we could actually work with our customers in our target industries and basically offer them a plethora of use cases that can offer value as they try and basically extend their GenAI journeys themselves. So we have a fairly established toolkit, all the way from how do you do a use case discovery to how do you really build value into your design of a use case, to how do you then take it into results delivery and results quantification post implementation. So these are 2 or 3 things that we are trying to do. We are also happy to bring a newsletter called AI Spectrum that we'll be launching very shortly, which will basically be a channel for everyone to get to know what is it that everybody in ITC Infotech is doing, what is the latest in this particular space, what are the new exciting projects we are working on, and what's the latest and best that we are doing when it comes to IP development in this area, in this very fast moving and exciting area as well.